All right, everybody. Good late morning. What is going on? Hope you guys are doing well. And since right now the hot topic concerning the Seattle Seahawks is the running back position, may as well make another video about that. So, obviously, yesterday I made a video talking about Ken Walker. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. But basically, long story short, it seems like he's gone. Everything we're hearing right now seems to be kind of building up to the point where he will not be a Seahawk in 2026. And it's a simple matter of he played the best football of his life in the final 4 games of the season, which included basically a playoff game in a manner of speaking because of the stakes, and then 3 playoff games, including the Super Bowl. And because of that, he can get paid a lot of money. And as the Seahawks are the team that employed him for 4 years, they feel like they know what he's worth, and it's not the amount that is going to get dictated by those last 4 games. And look, I prompted people in that video. There's a lot of different ways to feel about it, and I prompted people to, voice how you feel about it. And it's complicated. It's not easy. On the one hand, yes, I agree that Ken Walker is not worth 14, 15, 16 million dollars a year. On the other hand, I do understand that it's going to be extremely painful if we get to the end of this season and it feels like we gave up the chance to get another Super Bowl over a few $1 million to Ken Walker, which is possible. Whether or not it's true, we may end up feeling that way. So it's tough. I respect John Schneider for sticking to his guns, but I can see this backfiring pretty heavily on him too. If we get to January, February next year, and we're not where we want to be, and the running game has taken a step back, and we weren't able to find an adequate replacement for Walker, it's going to get annoying. But it's not good business to pay a guy just because you feel like you have to. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time going on the back and forth here, but it's a tough one. I understand it's a tough one, but I'm making this video because Dan Viennes of Seahawks Forever made this tweet yesterday afternoon, and there's a couple things going on here. First of all, that video I posted yesterday, I mentioned Tyler Algier because Corbin Smith mentioned him being linked to the Seahawks. So we've now heard it from 2 people, 2 pretty well-connected people, Dan Viennes and Corbin Smith, that Tyler Algier is on the Seahawks radar. Dan Viennes, however, also throws in a second name here. And remember, Corbin Smith said he had a second name as well. He did not disclose it publicly, though. Dan Viennes says the second guy the Seahawks are interested in is Brian Robinson Jr. So maybe that's Corbin's second guy as well. Don't know. Maybe Corbin will chime in on this at some point. He might do it on his website. He might do it on X. Who knows? But those are the 2 names that apparently the Seahawks are looking at to replace Ken Walker. And the source just said, not only does he think the Seahawks have interest in both guys, he thinks it's possible that they sign both of them. So I'll start with Algier because to me that's a pretty simple one. Algier is a nice player. He's only going to be 26 this year. Battering ram, 5'10", 225 pounds. Had a good career with Atlanta. Had a 1,000-yard season before they drafted Bijan. He's been a good supplementary back for them for the last 3 seasons behind Bijan. He's kind of the power back to Bijan's more Marshall Faulk, LaDainian Tomlinson type of talent. And it hasn't all been great. Like 2 of the last 3 years, he's had a yard per carry average of just over 3.5, which is pretty rough. But remember, he is more of a power back. He's not a huge big play threat. And in that role, he can do very well. But that's the role, right? He's not a very good pass catcher, right? He's got 61 career catches in 67 career games. So not even a catch a game. He's got barely more than 1 target per game. So that's not really what he brings as a player. And Look, that's fine. That's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with being limited as long as you're utilized appropriately. But Tyler Algier, you look at him, he's meant to be a bruiser, right? He's a bruising running back. He's 5'10, 225 pounds, runs inside the tackles, and generally just provides the thump. So the other guy we're looking at here, Brian Robinson Jr., I want to say, another good player. He's only going to be 27, so age, not really a problem. He's going to still be in his prime. But this is another bigger, more I don't even want to say power back because he's so tall, but he is a guy you just kind of want to give the ball to and let him go up A gap and B gap most of the time. That's my thing here. Like again, this is a good running back. He had 1,000 yards a couple years ago in Washington. 2024 in Washington, which was the year Washington went to the NFC title game. He had almost 1,000 yards, part of a very good offense. And last year he got traded to San Francisco. And look, if your name is not Christian McCaffrey, you don't get the ball very much out of the backfield in San Francisco. So I'm not holding the season he had against him. It was fine for the little bit that he did get to touch the ball. But the issue I have here is this not a little bit redundant with Algier? I know they're not the exact same player, but they're both bigger backs. They don't have a ton of foot speed. I think Robinson's a little bit faster. I think Robinson has a little bit more ability to run outside zone. But overall, you would not say that he's a great option in that kind of an offense. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the agility. He doesn't have the moves. It kind of feels like two very similar backs. Robinson's probably a slightly better receiver, but I don't think he's a great receiver either. He caught a good amount of checkdowns in 2023, but I don't think that makes him a great receiver all around. He's okay. And to me, both guys just kind of feel pretty similar. They're both replacements for Zach Charbonnet. So if this tweet is true, and I think there's some good basis in reality here, I think that Corbin has echoed at least half of it, and he may have intimated he echoes the whole thing. But to me, this, first of all, this tells you if this is true, if we sign both players, especially, the team is prepared for a 2026 season with no Zach Charbonnet, which is probably the right thing to do and is the smart thing to do. It's fair to assume that Charbonnet will not be back until later in the season. And if he's not back until later in the season, then you don't know what he's going to be able to do when he gets back. So it makes sense. You got to be careful. You got to assume that you're not going to have his services, so you've got to find multiple guys to replace him. Now, I don't know if either of these two guys can really adequately replace Charbonnet, because to me, Charbonnet is a better third down back than both of these guys, but they can at least provide that thump. They can be the bigger, more inside, but off between the tackles back. But my hang up here is who's the third back? Is it George Holani? Because if it's George Holani, I mean, that's okay, but man, are you talking about trying to impregnate 3 women and hoping they can produce 1 baby in 3 months. That's what it feels like. Like, I understand that Ken Walker's not the best running back in the league, but compared to Brian Robinson, Algier, and Holani in a threesome, yeah, it's kind of like the whole getting a baby in 3 months out of 3 pregnant women thing. I don't know if anybody knows what the heck I'm talking about right now, but the point I'm trying to make is that it really feels like you're hoping that you can piece together 3 decent backs and recreate 1 really good back. And maybe you can. And hey, you're way more insulated against injury here, right? But personally, and I like Halani, but I'm hoping we can do a little bit better. We need to find a speedier back, somebody that can get to the outside more reliably on outside zone, somebody with a little bit more straight line speed, somebody who's a little bit more one cut and go, and somebody that can really kind of build separation with their foot speed when they get into the open field. And if they have elusive moves, all the better. And there aren't a ton of guys out there like that. So this is, look, it's interesting. I'm not rejecting this. I'm not sitting here and saying this is bad. Getting Robinson and Algier would be a nice redundancy to have in a year where it seems like Charbonnet is probably not going to be somebody you can count on. But man, I hope we can do something a little bit more ambitious with that other running back spot than George Halani. And shout out to George Halani. Guy helped us win a Super Bowl. I'll always appreciate that, but I need somebody with a little more speed. I need somebody with a little bit more dynamic athletic ability. All right, let me know what you guys think. See you guys later. It's a little bit of a tough time right now. I'll probably make another video about this at some point, but John Schneider, he is not moving from his vision of what these players are worth, it seems like. And shout out to him for doing it. But there is a world where we end up really, really not happy at him at the end of this year because he did it. And it's a tough job. GMing is a tough job. All right, go Hawks.